in a world divided by data and conflict. Welcome to Pixels to Politics, Season 3.
Welcome, everybody, to an episode of Pixels to Politics. I'm your host, Dougie, and this is episode 102 of Season 3. And it's an Epstein Files episode on specifically Tom Barrack, the current ambassador, American ambassador, to Turkey. Now, we've mentioned him a few times in passing, noticing his name in a couple of other files. Pretty well-known figure just in terms of politics in general. He's been involved for quite a while. He's been in bed with politicians for quite a while, most notably towards the Middle East, but obviously Turkey. And yeah, I give you a little preview. Again, with most of these deep dives, there's never a file that was like, hey, I just sent an underage child to go hang out with Tom Barrack. There were a few mentions of girls that needed to be there when Tom Barrack was there. There's a couple of mentions of him going to the island, to the ranch, and being invited to, well, events, just general events, specifically with some known pedos. Got some other notable names in there. So kind of the usual, to be honest. And also some extremely interesting conversations that I was digging through. On top of that, the House Committee House Oversight Committee has released the interviews with Leslie Joff and Bill Gates, which I didn't know. I believe they were actually released last month or the month before. However, I thought we could read those. There's this cute little program that actually compares what they said to lies that the files prove, which is pretty funny. So we won't read the entire transcript, but I will just read the questions that they lied about. Maybe just do Leslie first, depending on how short it is. I don't know. This could be a long episode, could be short. I did find a lot of stuff for Tom. Interesting guy. Thomas Joseph Barrack Jr. is an American diplomat, private equity real estate investor, and the founder and retired chairman of Colony Capital, a publicly traded real estate investment trust. Following the U.S. Senate confirmation, Barrack has served as U.S. ambassador to Turkey since May 2025. Yeah. So it's only 546 files. Took me maybe 3 hours to get through all of them, or at least most of them. A lot of it was just kind of boring, to be honest. But, I mean, here's the nice, fun little file that says Epstein and Trump socialized both in New York City and Palm Beach. But, yeah. So, I kind of want to start downwards up. Sometimes it's hard to organize these things, guys. It's hard. But this is the best I did. Best I got. Tom says, met your Saudi friend. He loves you. How are you, Tom Barrack? And a redacted person who we assume is Epstein, just based on context here. He says, great. Download Signal app. You have not already. When are you in New York? Tonight, dinner with Woody. That's why I think it's Epstein. He's the only one who is really like trying to hook everybody up with Woody Allen. The only one, I swear. I am in Turkey there Monday. I will call you. We'll download now. And then Tom sent contact information for this guy named David Howerton. And there's a little context on that later, but basically Epstein was actually looking to set up another island, and he needed an architect, and Howerton was the guy that Epstein wanted. This is from Richard Barnett to Redacted. Probably Tom or Epstein. I think it's Epstein. Hi, Redacted. Almost 7 p.m. No one has showed up at 71st Street. Can you please call Tom Barrack to see if he is still coming to the house? The redacted person says, thanks. I will be ready, RB. So Richard Barnett. Reminder, Tom Barrack and friend to come to the house today at 2 p.m. So that is referring to this like Sultan or Middle Eastern guy named Hamed or some shit. I don't know. Interesting. To Jeffrey from Redacted. Jeffrey just received below email to you from Tom Barrack. I guess he needs to update his contact list. Smiley face. I think this is his assistant. And from Tom Barrack to somebody. I think Jeffrey. Not sure. Thinking about you. Hope you are good and life is calm again. So they were good friends. You'll see some of these files pop up, but this is to and from, both redacted. September is probably from Jeffrey's assistant to Epstein. September 20th, 2016. 10:15, Tom Barrack and Turge, who these guys kind of traveled together a lot or communicated a lot. I don't know who Turge is. Here is Tom. He says, I will. Complicated. I have been in a shitstorm and didn't want her exposed. Sorry. Understood. This is from Jeffrey to Tom. Understood. I am always there for you. Good luck. And then Tom to Jeffrey and me for you. So again, I just want to point out they were friends. You know, you don't say that shit to just a business associate. They hung out quite a few times. I didn't even put all of them in here. It's an extremely long list of files. Here's a luncheon meeting with Barrack, Tom Barrack, and this guy named Vitaly Tarukin. And Barrack is the former prime minister of Israel and known pedo/rapist. So I'm just going to keep pointing out every time that guy's name pops up because I think it's important. Peter Thiel's name also pops up quite a bit. Let's see. So there's this like interesting meeting that takes place. Quite a few redactions here, but I think this is his assistant, Jeffrey's assistant, to Jeffrey. And she says, would you like lunch served today with Tom Barrack at 1 p.m.? From Jeffrey to redacted, snacks and sushi. And this is kind of hard to tell who it is. It's redacted. Redacted to redacted. Redacted. Can you buy snacks for 1 p.m. today with Tom Barrack? And if you get those little sandwiches, will you get the prosciutto one? No idea who that is. I don't know who that is. And then again, to and from, both redacted, snacks at 1 p.m. with Tom Barrack. I'm on my way to Bella. Could you have redacted by it? Don't know. Don't know. Here's two. So here it is. It's this guy. This Sheikh Hamad. Sorry, I said like Hamed or something. Hamad. And again, I think this is from Jeffrey's assistant to Jeffrey. Per Sheikh Hamad's request, the meeting at 71st Street has been pushed to between 5 to 6 p.m. today. Okay, Rich. And then, thanks. 6:30, still no show. Can you call to see if they are still coming? Rich. I don't know who Rich Barnett is, but they were facilitating this meeting or showing up for some purpose. Jeffrey to Tom, at ranch in New Mexico. Come visit. Tom says, just landed back in California. How long are you there? Jeffrey responds, all month, except for Hacker Convention on Saturday, in Vegas and Seattle on 7th and 8th. Would love to see you, said Tom to Jeffrey. So I couldn't find anything that said that he had showed up on the island, but there's quite a few, hey, you want to come hang out? And then he says, yeah, sure. And then there's like no follow-up, which is weird. This one I have to read down to it. You and I need to talk. This is from Tom Barrack to Jeffrey. You and I need to talk about Nicole. I was just being smart and considerate of her. Where are you tomorrow? I am in Dubai. Yeah, this is one of the ones that get kind of interesting. Jeffrey responds with, Paris, will you see Sultan? Jeffrey to Barrack. I will be available again after. Sorry. Tom, after that, says, I did. He is in exile. Quite sad. I don't know what he was in exile for. Jeffrey wrote, I flew her to Paris from New York. If you are free, call now. And then there's just an actual phone number there that I'm not calling. Jeffrey Epstein says, I will be available again after 1 Paris time. Come visit on your way back. I still have my apartment. You are welcome to stay. Tom says, let me know when is good. Jeffrey says, now. And then Tom says, 1 hour. Okay. I don't know who Nicole is or what the reference is there. There aren't any follow-ups to that. But again, pretty weird. I found this also interesting. I don't know if this has anything to do with Tom Barrack, but here is a person from India. His name is Anil Ambani. He's a businessman and former member of Raja Sabha. I don't know, guys. Anil Dirjal Ambani is an Indian businessman, chairman, and managing director of the Reliance Group. The Reliance Group was created in July 2006 following a demerger from Reliance Industries Limited. He was once the richest people in the world. Wow. Until he lost the title due to financial struggles and bankruptcy. So obviously a pretty important person. And Jeffrey asks him, I assume this is Jeffrey, do you have a favorite candidate for ambassador to India, time sensitive ASAP? David Petraeus. Second choice, question mark. Your choice, question mark. Who is your choice or theirs? They said Tellus, still in the running. Okay. Hello, our dinner plans in Paris needs to be postponed. Have dinner with President Hollande. If you in Paris can always meet for a quick coffee, let me know. Apologies. Ood was flying to meet. Should I cancel him? No worry. Yes, of course we can meet. Cancel him. Now, I find this extremely interesting because, again, Ood, maybe this. I think this is after he was prime minister. And so at this point, maybe he has stepped down or been replaced by, you know who? Can't tell. But usually Ood gets special treatment. So the fact that this guy can just say, hey, cancel him is interesting. Okay, thanks. Hope you get dessert. Where? Holiday. By the way, did your father have a mentor, or was most of his strength a personal creation driven by challenge? He was his own guru. Amazing. Gift of God. Told your ambassador, not front a burner. Visit this week with Saudi. Okay, thanks, says Anil. Jeffrey says, also, when you get time, you should meet Tom Fitzger. He's one of the family. No idea what the fuck that means. Now chairman of CSIS. April should be fun. Anil says, have met him a long time ago. Jeffrey says, he will be at the May 5th dinner for the foreign ministers, most of the ambassadors that I am organizing. Wait a second. You are invited. I will send you a guest list and tell me who you want to sit next to. Then he is off to the Himalayas for a trek. I told him you guys should meet. I bet this is the same meeting in which Jeffrey told Elon that there were going to be girls, because Elon kind of missed the point. Anil says, K, await list. He later says, hello, was in Delhi. Leadership would like your help for me to meet Jared and Bannon ASAP. Please advise. Likely visit to DC by PM in May to meet Donald. Also assistance on that. Okay, so this is in 2017, which, again, it's interesting because this is not the only email chain or messaging chain that I've seen that kind of points that Jeffrey still had some positive relation to Donald in some way, shape, or form. It's also really funny that, was in Delhi, leadership would like your help for me to meet Jared Kushner, but, definitely. And Steve Bannon, of course. Nice. Chat later. Okay, SMS is set up time. Does 7 Eastern work? 8 works. Jeffrey says, okay, for discussion, Steve and Jared are meeting 15 people a day. Mostly meet and greet with little follow-up. State Department is way understaffed. What? Again, it's crazy how much intel Jeffrey has on what's going on in the U.S. government. MBS meeting took time to set up and basically a waste of time. MBS is the Saudi crown prince, I think. Though photo op was what they wanted, it's early for anything meaningful. You should meet with Tom Barrack. I wonder how Jeffrey has the capabilities to introduce these people to Jared Kushner. I don't actually wonder. I already know. But Anil responds with, give me a number, I assume, NOS, to call you. The number's here unredacted because the department sucks. Anil responds with, K, where can I meet Tom? Epstein replies with Washington, New York. Wash more formal and under heavy watch. Interesting. Look at that. New York more relaxed, i.e. breakfast, but schedule hectic. Do you have an ask? Other countries have had many people, each with their own agenda, trying to organize meetings. They have yet to be able to discern how to titrate. It's like a wedding where there is a line to shake the hand of the bride and groom, hugs, well wishes, and then on to the other event. And then Anil responds, let's speak later. Jeffrey says, K. A couple hours later, he says, question mark, question mark. And Anil says, thanks as always. Maybe they met in between this time period. I don't know. Epstein says, fun. Tom Barrack with me in Palm Beach, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, man, guys. You know, I was reading through a bunch of these like I do every week. And a part of me is just, I get so peeved every time. So it's just like, basically everyone in our government has in some form of connection, either first, second, or third hand to Epstein. Like easily. I'm gonna show some further images where he talks about the Clintons, talks about Donald Trump. Like everyone is pretty much within a phone call's reach of this guy. Celebrities, politicians, business people. Yet every single person ever asks, like, I never knew him. And I mean, again, I've got a pretty decent memory. I've never forgotten conversations like I would never be able to forget a conversation like this. You know what you know what I mean? But yet all these people pretend that they've never even spoken to him, let alone spoken to him more than once, met more than once, hung out at his place for hours, asked him for help. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not big on networking, so maybe I just suck at it. And you're supposed to just know lots of people all the time, and like, you know, it basically just kind of enter and leave your memory quickly. But I doubt it. They all seem to know who to call when they need to. Tom Barrack with me in Palm Beach, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. Also, totally understand now what Trump meant when he said that he wanted, who was it? Pam? I can't remember who. To stop talking about Epstein because then a lot of his friends would get hurt. Because, yeah, I can see that. Hard to tell who are the people talking here. I'm going to assume it's Jeffrey and Steve Bannon. Well, it's definitely Steve Bannon. I don't know who the redacted is. I think it's Jeffrey. Why they're redacting Jeffrey, if they are, I don't know. But this conversation starts with, if possible, let's talk Miro. Steve replies with K. I think there's an exchanging of phone numbers here. Miro expecting your call, and you want to be in New York week for 24th. Everyone, Europe, will be at the house. What the hell? Roger, Steve Bannon says. Miro waiting. Called. Did you get him? Voice machine. Redacted. That's the phone number. Question mark. Can I give? Certainly. Miro swapping calls. Is pattern flipping meaningful? They all connect to Tom Barrack. Oi. I love when Jeffrey says oi. How is Mar-a-Lago North? So Tom was also good friends with Donald Trump too. They were also friends. Yak. Steve Bannon, Grundune. I don't know what that means. Very nice guy, wealthy family, deeper into Manafort than he ever told anybody. Hates Trump. And then Jeffrey links an article, and then he sends a picture of Pichar Sundar, the current CEO of Google, which I thought, yeah, it's Google. I thought that was really funny. And then Steve Bannon says, "Yep, it begins." I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Jeffrey replies with travel safe. Steve says here. Jeffrey says, I'm in New York tomorrow. Where is here at? Steve says Venice. Epstein says, great. How going? And then Steve Bannon says, epic, just sent you CNN piece. So again, amazing that all of these people spend so much time around Jeffrey, and none of them knew of his late night proclivities or his past run-ins with the law, because at this point, he had been convicted twice. This is from Jeffrey to Tom Barrack. It's pretty long, but it's, yeah, it's interesting. She gave him so many big openings that he failed to capitalize on. So, for context, this has to do with the Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump debate. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure. She gave him so many big openings that he failed to capitalize on. 1, allies need to trust our word. 2, red line was clear in Syria. U.S. failed to keep its word. 2 again. She said Iraq wouldn't allow troops to stay, ? We spent $1 trillion and they tossed us aside to join Iran. 3, he should remind her that paid millions of dollars of taxes and in withholding tax on his workers. Someone should calculate how much income his workers made. It wasn't his income. He paid withholding Social Security. Where did the workers get the money to pay their taxes? From his companies. 5, tens of thousands of women and children have died as a result of her carelessness. The same word that Comey used. 6, she called Monica a Looney Tune when she says Donald Trump called women pigs. 7, when the moderator said Donald suggested she didn't look presidential, he could have said, replay her last shaking of the shoulders and saying, bring it on. That little dance was a perfect moment that he flubbed. 8, she said too many blacks in jail as a result of his mandate. It was Clinton's laws that put them there. Okay. All right. 9, hopefully he will prepare for next time. So, anyways, I find it interesting that in this particular debate, he seems to be like supporting Donald Trump, right? Or he's like on her side or his side and trying to point out flaws in the speech, which would make it so that they were friends, I put in quotes, until at least 2016. So, whatever the flip happened, probably happened during that time period for some reason. We'll never find out. There's a lot of rumors and assumptions why. But it's very clear from this email that he seems to have wanted Trump to win. So I'm fully under the assumption that they removed a lot of emails between Trump and Epstein intentionally. That would, show that they were talking and that they were friends or they had connections, because it's amazing that somehow Epstein has these connections to all of these people around Trump and not Trump himself. It's ridiculous. This is from Jeffrey to Peter Thiel, my favorite. Peter Thiel, of course, being the CEO or founder of Palantir. Sorry, I think he's just the founder. Along with, he's basically a financier of Facebook and PayPal. Obviously, Palantir, a couple other businesses. And he quite famously said that he didn't really know that much about Epstein. But here he says, from Jeffrey to Peter, Tom Barrack really liked you. He told me the conversation in the green room. And again, Jeffrey says to him, Peter Thiel wrote, any thoughts on the race? This is in 2016. And Jeffrey says to Peter Thiel, lots, and you should be closer so that your advice is considered. You should be closer. Huh. I don't know what that means. But, let me see. Peter Thiel, Epstein, Joe Rogan. So, I mean, there's a 15-minute video here on... Well, we won't watch all of it, guys. We'll watch some of it. Just watch some of it really quick. Really quick.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What are the consequences? They were able to pull off this thing, some sort of operation. What, who knows who was behind it, who knows what was the motivation, but it clearly has something to do with compromising people, which is an age.
Who knows the motivation? I mean, is it not clear as fuck? It's to make a lot of money. I mean, really is what it is. And put people in power who they want to put in power and maintain control. It's pretty standard.
Old strategy for getting people to do what you want them to do. You have things on them, you use those things as leverage, and then next thing you know,
this idea kind of annoys me. It's this idea that all these people are so innocent and they just fell into a trap of sleeping with underage girls. And then all of a sudden they get blackmailed, and somehow the blackmail results in them going to Jeffrey and asking for financial advice and making millions of dollars. It's like, does that make any sense to anybody ever? I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I think Jeffrey had compromising stuff on these people. However, I sincerely doubt most of these people actually needed a nudge to do what Jeffrey wanted. For the most part, most of these people were fucking waiting outside Jeffrey's door to find out what they should be doing on his behalf.
you've got people saying things that you want them to say, and it moves policy, changes things, you get things done.
They're all like it. They knew the game. They got in. They wanted to play. They knew what they were getting into. There is no blackmail. Bill Gates is running this thing where he says, I was being blackmailed. You're not being blackmailed. Shut the fuck up. You're being blackmailed. Jeffrey blackmailed you into going and sleeping with Russian underage girls. You're being blackmailed to do that? Really? Really? How convenient.
That they did that.
Yes.
And we know they did that, and yet no one is asking for the tapes.
How funny is it that Joe Rogan is currently talking about Epstein across from
No one's asking.
one of the people who's been visited Epstein, talked to Epstein, hung out with Epstein. They talked politics. I got some real weird emails between the two.
For the client list, we're in the dark. Still.
We're not. We're not in the dark. It's 6 million files. I've dug through not all of them. Sorry, that would be crazy. I've dug through 1%, 2%, and I've already seen enough to know exactly what was going on and who's involved. I don't even think it's a question.
Probably, I don't know, man. I spent too much time thinking about all the Epstein variants.
What does that even mean?
Probably the sex stuff is overdone and everything else is underdone. It's like,
Yeah, all of these people keep saying that. All of these people keep saying that the sex stuff is underdone and the other overdone, and the other stuff is underdone. That's what they all keep saying.
it's like a limited hangout. We get to talk about the crazy underage sex, and not about all the other questions. It's like when Alex Acosta testified for Labor Secretary, and he was the DA who'd prosecuted Epstein in 08, 09, and got him sort of the very light 13-month or whatever sentence.
That is true.
And it was a South Florida DA or whatever he was. And Acosta was asked, why did he get off so easily? And under congressional testimony, when he was up for Labor Secretary 2017, it was he belonged to intelligence. That's
The context of what he's saying, now that I've dug through so much and learned so much, kind of creeping me out. He did belong to intelligence. So yeah, Alex did say that. It is really clear that he belonged to intelligence.
Yeah.
and then and so it's the question isn't about the sex with the underage women. The question is really about why was he so protected? And then I went down all these
When you say underage women, okay,
rabbit holes. Was he
whatever.
working for the Israelis or the Mossad or all this?
But he would know this. Peter Thiel would know this. He does know this. He would know. I mean, he's not an idiot. He's definitely not an idiot at minimum. But he would know. And it seems like he probably did know from the files. I'm not gonna lie. Rewatching this with the context that I have now, because I watched it a long time ago when it first came out. Rewatching it right now is really weird. It's it's almost like many years have passed. I feel wiser about it. I don't know how to explain it. Even though I think this is something that I watched like at the start of this year or the end of last year.
sort of stuff. And I've come to think that that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If
But it wasn't just the U.S. Wait, hold on. It wasn't just the U.S.
sort of stuff. And I've come to think that that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If you're working for Israel, you don't get protected. We had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever.
Wait, hold on, guys. I'm tweaking so hard right now. I want to go back one more time. Sorry.
These rabbit holes. Was he, working for the
My mind naturally kind of, because he's lying, right? He knows what was going on, or at least has more information than he's letting on. And so usually in these situations, they try and portray a different message intentionally, one that either benefits them or somebody else. And again, this both of these guys, both Joe and him now, for me, are just coming off as like, this is a scripted event. This is another very clear push to deny involvement from a certain foreign country. But let me just make sure. I want to confirm.
And then and so the question isn't about the sex with the underage women. The question is really about why was he so protected? And then I went down all these rabbit holes. Was he working for the Israelis or the Mossad or all this sort of stuff? And I've come to think that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If you're working for Israel, you don't get protected.
Okay, gotcha. So the narrative that he's trying to push forward is that Epstein wasn't working for Mossad, which we know is at minimum not entirely true, because Alan Dershowitz was known to be passing messages on to Mossad very directly from an FBI report. From more than one FBI report showed that in some way, shape, or form, messages were getting from Jeffrey to Mossad, to Israel. And that the Kushners, specifically, both the Kushners were being trained up as, agents or informants themselves for Mossad. Okay, so Peter Thiel is trying to push this message that he totally wasn't working for Mossad, because then he'd be more protected, which is a crazy thing to say out loud in general. But it's the average person isn't that informed on it. I wouldn't even imagine the average, quote, businessman is informed on Mossad and, who's more or less likely to go to prison if they're an agent of CIA or Mossad. So I find it funny that he knows even that much information about it. Of course, we know why, right? This guy's literally getting introduced to Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, through Epstein, right? And then he's like, oh yeah, Epstein totally was in Mossad. I mean, come the fuck on. How goofy. Again, going back and rewatching this with the extra context is enlightening. And yeah, this is a common narrative that I've seen get pushed.
We had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever.
But unrelated, right?
Understood, but
this is one particular operation.
It was if it was an intelligence operation, the question we should be asking is what part of the U.S. intelligence system was he working for? Was he working for
But don't you think?
Why would that be the only question asked? Why? First of all, it wasn't only the U.S. Peter Mendelsohn is currently caught up in trials and investigations, because in the files, it clearly exposes him as being an agent passing on messages to Israel. Through Jeffrey, by the way. Through Jeffrey. And, I mean, we just sat through, what? It's only been like 30 minutes of meetings with other foreign ambassadors. We know that he was fucking having sex with princesses from, what was it, Sweden or Norway? I mean, what? It's not only the U.S. He's hosting meetings with all kinds of people throughout the Middle East. This guy would know this. At this point, this guy would know this. He's already been talking with Jeffrey for quite a while. He's already met with Barrack. I assume he's also met with Eric Schmidt.
That's an effective strategy for controlling politicians, getting them involved in sex scandals. I mean, that's always been one of the worst things that can happen to a politician. Look at Monica Lewinsky. A very simple one. Consensual, inappropriate sexual relationship between a president and a staffer, and it almost takes down the presidency. It causes him to get impeached. Powerful motivators. The shame of it all, also the illegal activity, the fact that it's one of the most disgusting things that we think of, with people having sex with underage people.
Okay, listen, it's always so hard for me to tell what Joe knows, what he doesn't know, what's going on. But for me personally, you guys probably all just know this by now, but like the underage stuff is really all I fucking care about. Government spying on each other and I don't know, blackmailing each other, whatever. That's gonna happen from now to infinitely into the future, and it's always happened. I don't particularly care, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong, we need to try and end it, but you set a precedent that matters way more if you catch them on this underage stuff, on the trafficking stuff. I don't know why. I might be wrong in this, but there's always somebody funding our fucking politicians. There's probably a way to fix it. There's always somebody spying on our politicians. There's probably a way to fix it. We should fix it. But to me, the more important crime is, the harm against the, children. And honestly, Joe, he has children. That's why he's taking this stance too. I don't have children. I just have a lot of younger siblings. My cousins just had babies themselves, and I'm a second cousin. I'll probably be an uncle quite soon, within like a year and a half. So I want kids. I mean, I don't know. It to me, it feels like the priority should be, we should be protecting children. This idea that it's a surprise that they're all blackmailing each other and that the politicians are corrupt. If people are surprised by this at all, I mean, the fuck.
I'm sure that was part of it. I suspect there are a lot of other questions that one should also
most
ask.
certainly. But I would think that is one of the best motivators that we have, is having dirt on people like that, especially something that could ruin your career. Especially people that are deeply embedded in this system of people knowing things about people and using those at their advantage. I mean, that's an age-old strategy in politics. That was J. Edgar Hoover's entire modus operandi.
Yeah, look, my riff on it was always that it's a little bit different from the J. Edgar Hoover thing, and the question was always whether the people doing it knew they were getting compromised.
I'm amazed on how many of these people are like so well versed in history in general. How many people do you know you could sit down with, right, and just be like, yeah, man, that J. Edgar Hoover blackmailing operations, and isn't that crazy? And that person would know exactly what you were talking about. I'm not like saying it's scripted or anything. I'm genuinely amazed at how many of these people are so well versed in like just history in general, even far more than me. And I've spent a lot of time learning about world history, and yet I don't even think I'd come close to these guys.
And so it's the vibe is not that you somehow got compromised. It was more you were joining this secret club.
Right.
You got to
Okay. I agree with Peter Thiel here. I mean, he would know, again, that it's less blackmail and you are joining the club. So I was thinking, people seem to have they struggle with this concept. And it's like, I was thinking about it recently, and in terms of joining the club, most clubs, right, in quotations, clubs, there's like some sort of initiation ritual of some kind, right? So fraternities, it's hazing. At sororities too, it's hazing. And it's not uncommon for that to involve illegal activity. For gangs, it's some form of illegal activity. I know there was a gang where they would recruit them at a young age. Actually, it was in my one of my towns that I grew up in. I just realized. And the gang, they had to go and like beat up an old person or some shit. So why would it really be all that surprising that a gang of rich people or a rich people club wouldn't have or would have a ritual of some sort? Whether it be sleeping, I don't know, raping underage children, underage girls or boys, whatever. Why would that be so hard to fathom at all when there's such a like we see it all over the place of just everywhere. It's not that surprising. And he's saying what I was saying earlier in the sense that they don't need to be blackmailed. These people want to join the club, and this is how you join the club. You go to a party, there's a bunch of underage people. You don't ask questions. Most of these people want it, they want to be a part of the club far more than they care about any moral standing whatsoever. It's interesting arguments. I wonder what Joe would say if he was able to bring Peter Thiel back on, knowing now that Peter and Epstein had so much communication.
You're a made man in the mafia,
and you get to do crazy things.
No. It's only if we have compromise on you do you get ahead.
Right.
It's like I don't know. It's one of these
skull and bones
closet.
type things.
Yeah, the closet of the Vatican.
Right.
The claim is 80% of the cardinals in the Catholic Church are gay. Not sure if that's true, but directionally it's probably correct. And the basic thesis is you don't get promoted to a cardinal if you're straight, because we need to have, and so you need to be compromised, and then you're under control, but you also get ahead.
Completely makes sense. Completely makes sense in the way to do that with especially all these politicians who are essentially like bad actors. A lot of them, they're just people that want power.
He's right.
And people that want control. A lot of them, and those kind of guys, they want to party. I mean, that has been. You've got two types of leaders that are presidents. You've got pussy hounds and warmongers. And sometimes you have both, but generally you don't. Guys like Clinton and JFK were anti-war, and then you have.
Yeah, but Clinton's wife wasn't anti-war.
Have guys like Bush, who you don't think of at all as a pussy hound, but most certainly you think of as a warmonger.
Do you do you have a theory on what was Bill Gates' complicity with Epstein?
I think he likes pussy. I think he's a
True, not wrong. This is so weird, guys. That like again, the context that this guy has shaken hands, sat next to, talked to directly, had meetings with Epstein, and they're talking about it. It's so fucking sleazy. It's crazy.
Man, I think he likes power. He likes monopoly. I mean, he's incredibly effective with Microsoft, and for the longest time, he was thought of as a villain, right? He was this antitrust villain. He was this guy who was monopolizing this operating system and controlling just this incredible empire, and he had a real bad rap. And then I think he wisely turned towards philanthropy. And
do you think that he needed Epstein?
I think it's very difficult for a very famous, very high-profile person to fuck around. I think it's very difficult. I think you have to worry about people telling people. You worry about it taking you down if you're having affairs.
I don't. It's curious. So I'm trying to think about it from the perspective of Peter Thiel, right? Who knows what was going on, and I wonder why he's asking the question in general. I don't know.
If you're running some philanthropy organization, you're supposed to be thought of as this guy who's like this wonderful.
Bill Gates is not a philanthropist. He's even his quote philanthropy projects are mostly genocidal, to be honest with you, in nature, and they're tax deductible. So
person who's trying to really fix all the problems in the world, but really he's just flying around and banging all these different chicks. You have to figure out a way to pull that off. And this is what Eric Weinstein and we've had discussions about this, and Eric's position is that there are people in this world that can provide experiences for you and safely for people that are in that kind of a group.
Yeah, I know. Listen, Epstein was a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that.
And that makes sense. It makes sense that if you pay people enough and you have people motivated in order to like establish these relationships and make sure that these things happen, when you get very high profile, you can't just be on a fucking dating app. And if you're a guy who likes to bang chicks, what are you going to do?
All of that might be true, but I wonder if there are more straightforward alternate conspiracy theories on Epstein that we're missing. So let me do an alternate one on Bill Gates, where the things, just looking at what's hiding in plain sight. He supposedly talked to Epstein early on about how his marriage wasn't doing that well, and then Epstein suggested that he should get a divorce, circa 2010, 2011, and Gates told him something like, that doesn't quite work. He didn't have, presumably because he didn't have a prenup. So there's one part of Epstein as a marriage counselor, which is sort of disturbing. But then the second thing that we know that Gates talked to Epstein about was all this sort of collaborating on funding, setting up this philanthropy, all this sort of this somewhat.
Starting COVID, like, I don't know, we're just leaving out a lot, aren't we? Starting COVID, preparing for mass vax mandates, a pandemic, talking about drugging his wife with anti-STD meds because he caught one while in Russia. How about him trying to start a condom company after that happened? Like, what are we even talking about here?
Corrupt left-wing philanthropy structures. And so there's a question, my sort of straightforward alternate conspiracy theory is should we combine those two? And was there and I don't have all the details on this figured out, but it would be something like, Bill and Melinda get married in 1994. They don't sign a prenup, and something's going wrong with the marriage, and maybe Melinda can get half the money.
I know where he's going with this. He calls Epstein a divorce lawyer or a tax, someone who's really good at dodging taxes. Like he says that Epstein was like a savant at the financial, like, law, or not financial, but the law when it came to taxes. That's what he's going with this. Which we know is, he knows way more than that.
In a divorce, he doesn't want her to get half the money. What do you do? And then the alternate plan is something like, you commit the marital assets to this nonprofit, and then it sort of locks Melinda into not complaining about the marriage for a long, long time. And
This guy non-alien. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, but he's a fucking alien. This guy's an alien. This guy's not human.
And it's some kind of a and so there's something about the left-wing philanthropy world that was it was some sort of boomer way to control their crazy wives or something like this.
What does anything... That's your alternate theory? Your alternate theory is that Bill Gates' only relation to Epstein was to help dodge a prenup, or the lack of a prenup, a divorce. And so that leads to him starting a nonprofit philanthropy that he promises his money to. Does that make any sense? Like, at all? Does that actually make any sense? Or is this gobbledygook supposed to just trick numbskulls, right? Like, they hear left wing and they go, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, left wing makes sense. Is that like what it's supposed to do? Because it's not working on me personally at all. And like, am I really supposed to be convinced that that's what Bill Gates cared about? He's running around getting STDs from Russian models and texting Epstein about drugging his wife. He's probably he has like top secret clearance for DOE, Department of Energy. He's one of the richest men on the planet. And I'm supposed to come to the conclusion or even believe that this generally smart guy in general also came to the conclusion that he just wanted a divorce and didn't want to lose money. I mean, come the fuck on. Bill Gates is fuck you money. Okay, the guy's not thinking about. You could have his dollar amount and do it again, and it'll be completely irrelevant. He'll still never think about dollars ever again, unless he hates his wife more than he hates anything else like on the planet. Feels anything else on the planet. Come on. It's funny though,
and that's also an effective way to whitewash your past, right? Your thought. Sure,
there are all these, and he talked to Epstein about. He got Epstein to meet with the head of the Nobel Prize Foundation. So it was.
What about him introducing you to Barrack, you fucking shithead? What about that? What about him getting you an introduction to Barrack? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, Bill Gates wanted to get a Nobel Prize.
Wow.
Right. So this is all straightforward. This is all known.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying what you're saying about.
Do you know the history of the Nobel Prize? That's the ultimate whitewash.
Sure, it was for inventing dynamite.
Yeah, that's well, Peter Berg told me the story. I was blown away.
I don't care.
Amongst us. He came up with that prize because he wanted to change his image publicly.
I don't care.
Understandable and ironic. Yeah. But I think then so there's a underage sex version of the Epstein story, and then there is a crazy status Nobel Prize history of it, and there is a corrupt left-wing philanthropy one.
Why does he keep talking about corrupt left-wing as if like he himself? If you talk like that, then I assume you're declaring yourself right-wing or in the middle. But you yourself are also involved in the files with Epstein. Like what?
Yeah. And there is a boomers who didn't sign prenuptial agreements with their wives story.
Right.
And
I mean, to me, it just reads as a bunch of fucking corrupt, pedo, rich people. Okay, there's at least 1,000 of them, maybe 2,000. The pool is surprisingly smaller than you would think. A lot of rich, famous people who all kind of hang out together, and everybody kind of knows who's who. And I saw this a little bit being near the top of the league ladder, where all of the top league players, they all know each other, they all hang around. Same girls kind of show up. Like, they all know what's going on. They all get passed around from team to team. There's nothing crazy or new about this, like, top of the class type of activity that goes on. And it's funny that even in League of Legends, right, with these players who basically are kind of nobodies in the grand scheme of things, even they kind of exhibit the exact same elitist behavior. Exact same. They think they're above the law. A lot of them have no problem talking to girls that are underage. There's a lot of fangirls, easy to take advantage, so on and so on. Again, they all kind of know each other. Some of them hate each other, but they still hang out with each other, pretend to be friends. It's always a who's of networking. I think the underage thing is a subset of what was going on. Really, it is like he said, where it's about being in the club. And you get all these perks. What's that? You want to divorce your wife and not lose any money? Here's a perk. You want to get a Nobel Prize? Here's a perk. You want to meet the Prime Minister of Israel? Here's a perk. Again. He's trying. This is something we've kind of seen happen between all of these elites where they're like, well, it was left wing. It's right wing. It's like, I've spent enough time in the files to know that every single one of you guys, all of your names are in there. All of your names are in there. I got Hakeem Jeffries. I've got Trump. I've got the Stacey Plackett guy. I've got Peter Thiel. I've got Tom Barrack. I've got the Clintons. I mean, there's, the Bidens are in here. Like, literally everybody's in here. You all are cut from the same cloth.
and I think all of those are worth exploring more.
I think you're right.
More? I think you're right. You think the idea that Bill Clinton wants a Nobel Prize, you think that's worth more exploring than the child sex trafficking operation? And then Joe Rogan says, I think you're right? Okay.
That's
all I'm saying.
What about these left-wing philanthropy ventures do you think is uniquely corrupt?
Guys, it's just the lefties. And then I go to a lefty show and they say, guys, it's just the righties. And I'm over here banging my head on my table. This guy.
Man, it's there's something about maybe it's just my hermeneutic of suspicion, but there's something about, there's something about the virtue signaling and what does it mean? And I always think this is sort of and there's these subtle ways, we've become more, more European in our sensibilities as a society. And so it has this very different valence from what it did.
All right. Well, again, so there's that. That's Peter Thiel pretending that he himself didn't meet with Epstein, which is, again, hilarious because here is an email from Jeffrey to Peter Thiel giving him advice. All right. Okay. Whatever you say. Oh, man. Here is Michael Wolff to Jeffrey, and Michael Wolff is a reporter or investigator or somebody similar to Steve Bannon. And he says, so I'm doing this Trump book for a pile of money, and with so far quite a bit of cooperation from them. Donald Trump called me the other day and spent 45 minutes on the phone ranting and raving about the media. Alarming. I wonder if you could introduce me to Tom Barrack, just to say I'm a journalist and a journalist who you know and trust, and that I'll follow up with a description of the project that I'm doing. Also, I'd love a reintroduction to Kathleen Rumler. I need some off-the-record perspective on White House procedures. Are you in New York soon? And Jeffrey says, of course, okay to both. And again, just a great example of how Jeffrey Epstein has access to both people under Trump's administration and people under Barack Obama's administration. It's like, yeah, sure, buddy. Keep ranting about the left. This is from Brock Pierce to Richard Kahn. Richard Kahn. Good morning, and thanks for taking the time yesterday to review Coinbase with me. I realized that if I were you, I would suggest to Steve Bannon that he talk privately with Jeffrey. As you know, Jeffrey knows more about international finance than anyone on Trump's team, by a long way. Tom Barrack knows Jeffrey well, and apart from the Google mess, he makes Steve Mnuchin look like my son in terms of sophistication. Thank you, Rich. Barrack replies, I'll work on getting us all together. Then there's an exchanging of information, and then Richard says to Jeffrey, please advise on response. Thank you. All right, now we have a messaging chain here with quite a few people, and most of the names are redacted. But, yeah. All right, so somebody says, wow. And then the follow-up, someone says, yes. And then they say, good work. This is from Eva, who is one of Epstein's ex-girlfriends, a real fucking creeper herself. She says, in our house in PB. Eva says, so nice to be here. So nice to be here. Someone named Shahar says, can I have the details, cousin brother? Shahar says, on which number are you? Presumably, Epstein maybe gives him the number, unsure. Then there's an exchanging of an article. And Redacted says, can you reach out to see if Z has a suggestion for venue and time frame to meet BJ? Notice to King, okay. I don't know who any of these people are or what this is referring to. I don't know who the King is. This is in 2018. Redacted to Redacted and Redacted. They called yesterday. They wanted to do the meeting. Think it's smart, but they have a process with their bigger partner and are going through that now. Somebody says, understood. I tried to call back. Try now. And then Eva, his girlfriend or whatever, is like sending pictures, I think. Bruce Moskowitz says, tonight too busy at Breakers. Do you want me to come some afternoon? I leave Saturday. And they reply with, how about Friday, 3:45? We can repeat lab. And then Bruce says, okay. This is like a group chat, guys. Eva says, I can see her next Thursday or Friday. Can I introduce to Leslie? And somebody says, yes. Spent the morning with Ken Starr, really someone you should know. I agree. How bad a shape does he think Donald Trump is in? From a legal standpoint, he doesn't believe that obstruction applies to the use of power, even if it was solely done for self-interest. He thinks it has to be for a corrupt bribery, etc., and sees no evidence of that. Epic. Trump clear on Mueller if that's the case. So, again, at this point, Trump and Epstein are supposed to be fighting, but it seems like they're happy that Trump is winning the case where he was getting tried for, I think it was the shit they found in the garage or whatever, in Mar-a-Lago, I can't remember. The issues would be the related finance ones, Southeastern District. Yes, yes, yes. And the Hill investigation. Again, these people are clearly not victims, so I don't know why their names are redacted. But it's at least 3 people. If you recall any specific questions, or RE me and your interview. So probably Steve Bannon, could be, it might be Michael Wolff. Then he just says come noon Friday. This is from Bruce. Come noon Friday since lab will close at 1. I wonder what lab they're talking about. Bruce, somebody says K. And Redacted says, yes, what is his relationship with POTUS? Does he talk about Trump? When was last time he saw Trump? Some reporters asking the same question can figure out why. Can't figure out why. Interview ends with 50 names. Everybody gets the request. 25 Russian names, 25 American. You and Leon are number 3 and 4 on American list. Again, I don't know what this is referring to. Understood. Funny. Has Leon Black ever mentioned Russia? Do you know of any connections Leon Black has with Russia? I really want to look into Leon Black at some point. He had some pretty big connections to Epstein, mostly with money, but his name comes up consistently throughout all the files. Other Americans, David Giovannis, Ken Lebo, any other names you recall? Nick Ribbs, Tom Barrack, Benton Lebo, Barrack, Giovannis. Ton other names I didn't know, and only Russian was Alexander Dugin. Ha. Now the only thing I can do is hope for your advice. I can provide you advice and find jewelry, precious stones. Again, no idea what's going on here. But I assume you don't need that. You can find me a very cute friend. Ew. I hadn't read this far down. I'd only really read the first top part. You can find me a very cute friend. Okay. Anyway, not a sex trafficking operation, by the way. Here's some interesting thing I came across. I'm gonna have to look into whoever this is, but Jeffrey says to this guy known as Junker Man, spoke to Tom Barrack, asked him to call you, his cell, redacted, office, redacted. If you don't hear today, call him. It's okay. Promise. And then Junker Man to Jeffrey, okay, will do. Hope to see you when you come to Europe. Thanks for your help. It is 3 a.m. at the Chinese. Are driving me nuts. I don't know who this is. I'm going to look into it at some point. But weird. This is from Jeffrey to Redacted. Leon Black, who is a client and a very close friend, owns Apollo. These are the types that your uncle should be courting. Leon, Henry, Kravis, David Bonderman, Tom Barrack are all looking for investments. We should not let the reputation of Africa's past, unreliable and childish, get in the way. I will meet your uncle when he next goes to Europe, or will come back if that is what he wants. I don't know who that is. Weird. From David Stern to Jeffrey, want to meet Tom Barrack. So this is... Oh, he's saying he wants to meet Tom Barrack. And then Jeffrey says, number to call. And David says, I can be in Paris tomorrow afternoon. So, again, it's interesting that if somebody wants to meet Tom, they go through Jeffrey. This is redacted, probably to Jeffrey. Would you like for lunch? What would you like for lunch today at 12:30 with Ood, Barrack, Tom Barrack, and Churchkin? And Jeffrey to redacted. Jen and girls up to speed. Burgers and sushi. Don't know who Jen and girls are, why they're meeting with these known pedos, but surely not a sex trafficking operation. Again, Peter Thiel and Jeffrey here. Jeffrey says, don't know how well you know Tom Barrack. He is great. And Peter Thiel says, who is that? So it's right before Peter Thiel gets introduced to Tom Barrack. And this is after the meeting. Jeffrey says to Peter, Tom Barrack really liked you. He told me the conversation in the green room, which we kind of read earlier. But again, it's interesting that Peter Thiel kind of plays really coy in that he pretends that, you know, he didn't know him, of course. From Tom Barrack to Jeffrey. So Jeffrey to Tom Barrack. Come see me. There are so many fun things to do. And Tom says, I'm coming. I promise. I believe this is in reference to the island or the ranch. I can't remember which. From Michael Wolf to Jeffrey. Just passing reference that you, Tom Barrack, and Trump were once friends. One mention, no inference. Am I mentioned in the book? From Jeffrey to Tom Barrack. I love Thiel's suggestion regarding women and children. That every time you say saving lives, etc., I think of the tens of thousands of women and children that died as a direct result of your careless interventions. I don't know what in the fuck that's a reference to. From Jeffrey to Tom. I'm still in search of architecture firm for my new island. Thoughts? I'm in Paris, back in New York later on Monday. How's love life? So, again, he was actually looking to buy a new island and set up a whole new operation. From Jeffrey to Tom, I'm on Signal. Hope your voice is being heard. I don't know what this second part means, but Signal is a sort of encrypted messaging app. It's supposed to be safe, but it's really not. From Jeffrey to Tom, Sultan will come to the ranch this weekend. Why don't you join us? Come see me. So many fun things to do. Yeah, already read this one. Yep, already read that one. This is from Jeffrey to Junkerman. Do you know Tom Barrack? He's a friend. I think you should reach out to him as a potential partner. And I can't wait to look into this Junkerman guy. What a crazy name. From Jeffrey to Tom, chat, Signal, question mark. And then Jeffrey, so they're still talking about the island, and Jeffrey says that he needs an architect. And he says, how about Howerton, which we were talking about earlier. And then Jeffrey says, any Moroccan? I don't know what he's referring to there. In between that, Jeffrey says, I need someone that can land plan, service entire 200 acres. Can he? I don't know what land plan means. Oh, land plan. Like the entire thing. So rich, man. So much money. This is Jeffrey to redacted to Tom. Hope you are well. Photos look good. FYI, I receive many calls a week about both Donald, somebody who's redacted, Marla, beauty contest, Mar-a-Lago, etc. And Clinton from reporters, less so recently with Clinton, but my answers are always I have nothing to say, or I try to ignore altogether. A few times I have been ambushed on the street with questions, but am more careful now. Tom Barrack says, hope you're good. Let's catch up. And then Jeffrey replies with, send photos of you and child. Make me smile. Ugh. Disgusting. Disgusting. From Jeffrey, he wrote, "What details would you like to give Michael Wolff, if any?" Tom says, "We decided last night we both love you and want to be your butlers." What? Jeffrey replies, "When do we see you? Are you meeting Rafat?" Raafat. This is, again, on the architecture thing. Tom suggests somebody named Shay Zach. I need someone that can land, plan, service entire 200 acres. Can he? I don't know what land Zach, who that guy is. This is another email chain with quite a few people in it. I think this is from Jeffrey to the email chain, but they say, "Hey, redacted." Okay, so it's not from Jeffrey. It's from somebody. Redacted. "Hey, redacted. Jeffrey Epstein said he would like you to be at 71st today, well dressed, to show Tom Barrack and his friend Sheikh Hamad around the house. They are coming at 2 p.m. So you should be there a bit before that. Please confirm. Thanks." This is I remember this. This is a girl. Don't know how old. But Jeffrey eventually ends up telling her how she should dress. This is from Gmax to Jeffrey, to redacted. "Dear Doug, here's the information you requested. Tom Barrack. If there's anything else I can help with, please feel free to contact me at the office. Kind regards." This is from Jeffrey to Junkerman. "I'm at Leon's having lunch. The guy sitting between us asked me, 'Do you know Tom Barrack?'" This is from redacted to Jeffrey. "Tom Barrack's office called. Tom is very sorry he will not be able to get to the ranch on Thursday. He must travel west, but will call you when he gets back." So he gets invited to the ranch more than once. "At ranch in New Mexico. Come visit. Just landed back in California. How long are you there?" "Sultan will come to the ranch this weekend. Why don't you join us? I wish I could. Give him a hug for me." This is from Esther Kaplan. This is interesting. This is subject MTG with Tom Barrack and H.E. Sheikh Hamad. So I don't know who MTG stands for. I don't know. I don't think it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, this is a long time ago, 2012. I don't even know if she was in office back then. But it says, "Hi, Leslie. My name is Esther Kaplan, and I work in Tom Barrack's office. I hope you're well. Tom asked that I reach out to you and confirm a meeting at Mr. Epstein's home on Monday, January 16th at 2 p.m. at your earliest convenience. Could you please confirm the meeting as well as the address of Mr. Epstein's home? Many thanks in advance." FYI, I emailed her asking to double check the date, but whether Monday is fine. Yeah, I'm curious who MTG is there. I did keep adding these Sheikh Hamad files because there's a FBI report that says that part of the Abraham Accords was consummated by Epstein or Trump. I can't tell. I can't remember which, being gifted virgin daughters from the Middle Eastern kings. Which, I don't know, it's too much for me. From Epstein to Tom Barrack. "In Rome with Woody Allen, if you are here." Tom says, "Just saw Sultan, who likes you a lot. I told him you're the best and that you are a first-class brain inside of a first-class human being. Miss you. I appreciate the comments in your friendship, no matter how distant." Again, I just want to point out these guys are fucking gay for each other. They're really close. And I just, again, find it so amazing nobody seemed to have known that Epstein was a pedo, no matter how close they were to him. This is redacted, probably Epstein assistant. "I've contacted Tom Barrack's office a few times via email and phone calls, but I'm still waiting to hear back. Are Tom coming for dinner Thursday, December 2nd, the same night Peggy has Woody Allen and Soon-Yi lined up to come for dinner? Just want to make sure, will it be okay for Tom to join the dinner on Thursday with Woody and Soon-Yi?" This is a reply from Epstein, yes. Reply from her, great, thanks. Reply from Epstein, yes. Reply from her, I'm wondering if this yes is actually okaying Valerie post. Wednesday at 6:30. You had already said yes to Tom Barrack coming to dinner with Woody Allen and soon ye. Okay. All right, again from Jeffrey to Tom. You should use this email. Cecilia no longer works for me. Basically, his assistants would age out, and then he'd swap them out for a younger model. Tom Barrack. Got it. Thanks. Jeffrey to Tom. I am in town until Sunday night. I'm happy to meet with Hamed anytime Sunday for coffee. Everyone says he's really smart. You are set to come Monday at 2. If your plans are still to do so. Tom says, thanks. He doesn't arrive Monday. We are on. Travel safe. And then here's something interesting that I saw from Jeffrey to Tom. In the dining room, there are photos of Bill Gates with Larry Summers taken at the house the other day. Should I have someone take them down, or is he okay with competition? I don't know, like, what that means at all. No idea, guys. Absolutely no idea. The fuck? Don't be knowing. Just weird shit. Just so many weird things in these files. So this is from, I think I just read this. Nope. Okay, so this is from Esther Kaplan to Redacted. I can't tell who that is there. With Ashley Ailman CC'd in. Subject, MTG with Tom Barrack and H.E. Sheikh Ahmed. So it's a chain. I've got to read from the bottom. Sorry. Scrolling down. Hi, Leslie. My name is Esther Kaplan. I work in Tom Barrack's office. I hope you are well. Tom asked that I reach out to you and confirm a meeting at Mr. Epstein's home on Monday, January 16th at 2 p.m. at your earliest convenience. Could you please confirm this meeting as well as the address of Mr. Epstein's home? Many thanks. So it's like assistant to assistant type shit. Hello, Esther. Thank you for your email. Just want to confirm the date. I think Jeffrey thought it was this coming Monday, January 9th, but either at 2 p.m. is fine. Just let me know. Jeffrey's address is 9 East 71st Street between 5th and Madison. Thanks, Leslie. My apologies. Yes, the date is this Monday. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, tremendous. It is all set for this Monday. God, the mundanity of secretary to secretary talking. Good morning, Esther. Rich Barnett is all set to meet with Tom and Hamed today at 2 p.m. at Jeffrey's home. Oh, Rich will show them around. Thanks, Leslie. Wonderful. Thank you. Is there a contact number to reach Mr. Barnett? He just needs to ring the bell to the right of the door. Rich is expecting them, so he should answer the door quickly. Rich's number is redacted with a smiley face. That is correct. Just ring the bell and hold for 10 seconds. Thanks so much. I hate to assume anything. Have a wonderful day. Leslie, FYI, this MTG... Oh, this meeting. Has been pushed to between 5 to 6 p.m. per Sheikh Hamad's request. I spoke to Mr. Barnett and advised him thanks. That's so funny. So MTG just means meeting. Duh! I already read this one. Hold on, there was one where he goes to the meeting and he tells this chick or little girl, I don't know which, that she needs to dress up. Might as well get out of the way now. Yeah, here it is. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, this is it. So he sets up that meeting with him and the sheik. They go to the house or whatever, and this guy Richard's supposed to be meeting them there. And then Jeffrey messages, this is Jen. I think it's Jen. This girl, Jen. I don't know who she is. That's my guess. Because more than once, I can see a little J poking out beneath the redaction. And it's more than once that he suggested this Jen girl to go and meet with Tom Barrack. That's my guess. Again, there's no reference of aging here, but I don't know. It's still sex trafficking, right? Like, or prostitution at minimum. Anyways, Jeffrey says this to her. I would like you to go to the house well-dressed today at 1 o'clock. Call for details. She says, yes, I can do that. Jeffrey says, call me in Paris from my house, in caps. Call me in Paris from my house. She says, I am here, so I will follow with Rich. All floors, main floor only. Anything extra I should do? Question mark. Smiley face. Okay. Heels or flats? Heels. It's Tom Barrack coming. So you can tell him, I thank him every day for Sarah. He is how I found her. Also, you can tell him that Jeffrey said you were one of the few people he trusts. So, I mean, again, it's sad that, like, it is what it is. People want 5K evidence, a video of it all happening. To me, there's definitely more than enough that warranted a complete investigation into all of these people. But maybe my burden of proofs are too low. I've got some more evidence about Jared Kushner, but this is from Thomas Jr. Landon to Jeffrey. How does Jared take over now with FBI circling? Sorry, let me read this. It's always in reverse. Sometimes it's in reverse. It's not. Let me start from the beginning. So this is from Jeffrey. He says, getting hotter. Thomas Jr. Landon replies, so it would seem. How worried are people close to him? This is referring to, maybe this is referring to Tom. Jeffrey wrote number, question mark. Jeffrey again wrote, Gary and Jared likely to take over. Tom Barrack in the middle of issues. He brought Manafort. Manafort partner Gates was Barrack's deputy. Wow. Uncertainty. Kelly Brannon Spicer. Many law firms do not want to represent Donald. How does Jared take over now with the FBI circling? Interesting. Peggy to Jeffrey. Sorry, from Jeffrey to Peggy. Are you back? Peggy says, he says that in all caps. I'm on my way to Toronto Airport now, she says. Landing at 10:30. Sorry, we'll land at noon. Have a few screenings this week. Want to see all invites. He replies, New York. She says, want to see all screening invites this week? Jeffrey says, what might be fun, interesting people? Is Pacino still looking for money? Does he mean Al Pacino? Tom Barrack just bought Miramax. When he is next in town, you should sit with him. She says, Pacino is looking for completion money on his labor of love, Salome. Actors studio needs money. Underwriting for Martin Scorsese's doc on Elia Kazan. We'll call later. We'll have Andre send invites. It's a big club, boys. It's a big club. All right, we got another conversation here. Can't remember what this one involves. But let's read it. Chris to his close friend. That's all I know. Just got confirmed. Sorry, it's all redacted. And it just makes it impossible to know who's who. So, Chris to his close friend. That's all I know. Just got confirmed from Rudy. Christie out. I'm behind Meadows. He is officially out. Javanka scalp. Donald is smelling the burning flesh in the distance. No telling what he will do. Are you sure about that? Seems oblivious. He's talking to people he hasn't spoken to in years. Okay, so I think the person on the right is Jeffrey. Really? Because of fear? Question mark. And then Jeffrey says, needs lieutenants. Weird. Somebody replies, I've been stating that you can't join as you are not rich enough to have 3 outside lawyers for the next 4 years. Don't know what that means. Campaign plus I got insurance. That's least of my worries. On campaign, I had total power. In White House, maybe 25%. Would only do with dictatorial power on fighting impeachment, and he will never give. Only way he survives, better for movement for me on the outside, unless assured a win. Again, unclear who he's talking to here. Sorry, that is what I've told people he asked. Not are you. Then they send an article to each other. Whoever this is says, this is how they're going to fuck Bossy. Can we talk later today? I have stuff going on for the next 2 hours or so. Jeffrey says, tomorrow better. Somebody replies, okay, I have calls at 9 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m., but free after that or before that. Take care. Jeffrey says, okay. Somebody says, did you watch the video that came along with it? Funny? Jeffrey says, sorry, I think this is the same person. Yeah, it's Terje. They say they will notify him by 10 p.m. London time. Somebody replies with question mark, question mark, question mark. Just saw, can't believe folks put that kind of time in. Oh, you don't believe folks are willing to put in a lot of time. Then there's some more pictures from Eva, who was his girlfriend at the time. She says Dubin Gala. There's more pictures or videos. Can't tell which. So Eva, Jeffrey to Eva. He says yes. Some more pictures. We'll be in St. Bart this weekend. This is from some guy named Benny. If you are in the island, come say hi. It's a phone number, I think, being exchanged here. I can't tell. This is, again, from Saudi Redacted. Federal prosecutors are investigating whether U.S. Donald Trump's inaugural committee misspent some of the funds it raised. The Wall Street Journal reported on Thursday, citing people familiar with the matter. The probe, opened by the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, is examining whether some of the committee's donors gave money in exchange for policy concessions, influencing administration positions, or access to the incoming administration, the journal said. And then somebody says, I think Rick Gates finally served up Tom Barrack. Jeffrey says, I assume this is Jeffrey again. Stephine, 25, male Winston? I don't know. Somebody replies, Melanie's wingman. It ain't the spending, it's the raising. I'm very aware Gates had to serve up someone. Nobody bigger than Barrack. They're probably referring to some law thing here that's been public. I just don't know what it is. Drop. Huffing Post reporting, Jared interviewing for COS. Please call Mona. Tell her it will be fixed. Who the fuck is Mona? 3 times voicemail. I will keep at it. And that's the end. That is the end. I think I already read this one. Yeah. Who is free to speak? Steve. Me. I wanted your views on Latin America. Steve said you and he missed each other's call yesterday. Yes, we did. You want to speak now or on Monday? Monday, fine. Giving you a heads up. Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, all falling apart and currencies destroyed. Amazing to watch. Yes, a big mess, and the worst is yet to come. Venezuela. That was in 2018. With massive oil reserves, wild opportunity, missed opportunity, just beginning. I'm afraid so. Where are you now? Interesting. FYI, Betchit just left for her sophomore year at Bard. I was glad to get rid of her. Her room is like a bar. I've never seen so much alcohol. This is from Woody Allen. Thank you for making this possible. The fuck? Who the hell is Betchit? What is... Hold on, guys. Sorry. Let's look this up real quick. Betchit. Woody Allen. Is Betchit his daughter? Betchit Allen is the daughter of Woody Allen and Soon Yi. Oh, wow. That's the adopted one he abused. R.I.P. Sorry, she's still alive. Jeffrey says glad. Eva sends something that's redacted for who knows. Fun dinner last night at Grubman's. Who? 80 people. The amount of alcohol found in Betchit's room. Wow. Very disappointing once again. So that was a picture. Sorry. Did you ever buy Caravan? Carvana? Question mark. The stock I told you to buy. No. Hi, hope you are enjoying the weekend. God, I wish I had some fucking dude who was on the inside who was just like, buy the stock, make millions of dollars. Sell the stock, make millions of dollars. Buy the stock. Maybe fucking hell, bro. I hope you are enjoying the weekend. I am at a Monguri Resort in Utah. Hardly any reception. Call you on Monday. Are you in New York next week? I couldn't find it on my app. We'll try tomorrow. Travel safe, says Jeffrey. Woody Allen to Woody Allen. Very, very, very. Can't buy it. What exchange is it traded on? What? Carvana, bro? CVNA? You couldn't even find it? Jesus, Eva, get it together. We had this discussion last week. Remember? You wanted it to go down first. Now where? All right, let's see. Let's skip through. Eva says, I have dementia, remember? Are you free tomorrow? Question mark. I just tried to call here. This is from a redacted person. I'm recording an audiobook all day. I think this is probably Woody. 3, great. I'm in New York. Venice, great. Try again. You around tomorrow? Some guy named Harry Fish. Harry Fish says, not sure yet. Depends on my son. You good? Redacted person says, okay, we'll plan. Great. In Woody's book, he calls my cooking a hate crime. Smiley face. Huh. What is this? This is like an article or something? What is this? Super interesting. This is from somebody redacted. This is super interesting. An apple in a bag. An easy way to try to force your bromeliad to bromeliad to bloom is the apple in a bag approach. What is this? A plant? I don't know what this is. Just learning so much today. It's spelled bromeliad. It is a plant. It is the apple in a bag approach. First, you need to find a clear plastic bag. Okay, it's just how to grow the plant. What if all the blooming in plants is other plants forcing competition and nothing to do with humans? Okay. Talk to you tomorrow or today. I love the philosophy talk. Okay. So we got through all those emails. Like I said, there's nothing like crazy telling when it came to Tom. It's just he was obviously very close to Epstein. And just shouldn't be surprised at all. All right. So, okay, I think I'm gonna save the interview. No, let's read the Leslie Groff fact check. So it's a pretty long transcript. It's got to be at least like 5 hours of footage. A lot of questions. I'm only going to read the questions that she was fact checked on by this website that directly compared emails to her lies. So in the interview, this has to do with paying tuition to women. Can I make this bigger? No, I can't. That sucks. In the interview, did you ever facilitate payment for school tuition for any woman or girl associated with Jeffrey Epstein? She said, I did not facilitate payment, which we know that for sure. But the record shows archive emails show Groff forwarding tuition bills, including a $25,000 bill, January 2008 for payment. Researching visa programs for women. In the interview, did you have a role in researching potential programs for girls and women connected to Mr. Epstein that they could then use to secure visas? No, she said. In this email, Groff researched and proposed a 100-hour course explicitly tied to securing a visa. Visas for anyone but Epstein. The only visas that I helped apply for were for Epstein. I never applied for a visa for anyone else. A 2015 email shows her starting Japanese visa applications for Epstein and 2 of his assistants. Knowledge of the Butterfly Trust. In the interview, I didn't know about the Butterfly Trust until after his death, and all of this came out. The record shows a 2011 email has Groff directing colleagues to copy the Butterfly Trust agreement she kept in her own office. She later signed and notarized trust documents. Contact with Arda Bescardes. In the interview, I did not speak to Arda. I merely would put Mr. Epstein in touch with him as a phone call. The record shows Groff sent Bescardes multiple direct emails herself in April 2019. And it's literally, hi, Arda, I found this course. working, maybe Arda is a victim. I don't know who that is. Working from Epstein's home in the interview. I didn't work at his home. I only worked out of the Helmsky Palace. The record shows elsewhere in the same interview where she describes working from Epstein's 71st Street mansion from around 2013 with an office on the first floor. One email that never changed in the interview. You had one individual email for your work with Mr. Epstein. That is correct. It never changed. She used at least 3 sender addresses, including, and then it has them listed. Yeah. Keynotes. Groff scheduled daily massages for Epstein, but denied ever knowing the masseuses were minors. Yeah, okay. Groff stated Epstein convinced her his 2008 conviction was a result of blackmail and a setup. Groff denied witnessing any sexual abuse or trafficking involving Epstein or his associates. Groff connected Epstein and Donald Trump on the phone multiple times over the years, but was unaware of the nature of their relationship. Groff arranged flights and hotels for women visiting Epstein, including trips that helped them obtain visas, and said she did not know the purpose of the visas. She denied being a visa sponsor. Yeah, okay. So, and then this website very much put together a nice compilation of pretty much lies. So I also have the Bill Gates one. Fuck it, I'll read it. There's only 4 here. His interview is also quite long. And maybe I'll go back and reread all of these in their totality. I don't know. Visiting Epstein's Florida home. I never went to his island, his ranch, or his Florida home. The record shows a February 27th, 2013 message coordinating Gates' flight to Palm Beach. And Epstein wrote, I'm in Palm Beach with Bill Gates at the house. Yeah, okay. Where the record complicates the account. Statements that are literally true or otherwise defensible, but that the email archive complicates. They stop short of contradictions, and their witness's account mostly holds. When the money conversations began in the interview, we began more extensive conversations in 2013 and 2014. The discussions focused on identifying potential giving structures such as donor advised funds. The record adds, archive emails showed donor advised fund discussions already underway in February 2011, with days of Gates' first dinner with Epstein. Within days, sorry. Our interactions ended in December 2014. In the interview, no vehicle for charitable giving was ever created, and no funds were raised. Our interactions ended in December 2014. The record adds, no funds were raised, as he said, but the archive shows a September 2017 exchange in which Epstein sent Gates a trip report and received a substantive reply, and was still floating in internet-based DAF. Keynotes. Gates admitted that meeting with Epstein was a grave error in judgment, driven by a desire to raise funds for global health. Yeah, okay. Gates testified he ended his relationship with Epstein in December 2014 after realizing Epstein would not deliver on his promise of philanthropic funding. Gates confirmed he had extramarital affairs that an employee, Dr. Boris Nikolic, was aware of, which Epstein later apparently tried to use as leverage. Okay, now I have a name. I didn't know that's who that was. Huh. Gates denied ever witnessing any illegal activity or sexual abuse by Epstein or engaging in any such conduct himself. Gates stated he never paid Epstein any money, nor did he provide him with a role or compensation in any. All right. So that's that. All right. I have one last thing, I think, to show you guys. I've got 3. Let's look through this really quick. I believe this is Thomas Massey reading names. No, sorry. This is proof that Trump had an escort service saved on the Internet Archives. It was called TrumpEscorts.com was the website. It says, just for you, just listeners, it says Trump International. Members log in, sign up, upscale escorts, introductions for gentlemen who truly love women. I don't understand why this has never had a proper journalistic treatment. His escort service website was online till 2015. The archive got scrubbed in 2024. Who were his clients? His employees? What the fuck? No one has ever touched this. Oh, I know this guy, Ty Green, was at least one of his employees. Now I know what he was employed for. This is Epstein inviting Peter Thiel and Mark Zuckerberg to Zorro Ranch. This is a kind of a follow-up earlier to that video. From Peter Thiel to Jeffrey, will hold off on her. Talk soon. Jeffrey says, you can bring anybody except that woman from dinner. That is Dot. Feel free to invite Zuck and wife if you like. There are no people for miles and miles. No eyes, just peace and quiet. How long are you there for? Quantum computing people at ranch, some presidents next week. Much more interesting than the annoying girl next to you at dinner. You were almost restrained. Oh. I wonder what they're referring to there. Lastly, we have Thomas Massey reading off some names here. So let's check this out, guys. And then we'll close up shop.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Congress created the Department of Justice. Congress funds the Department of Justice. And Congress is responsible for the oversight of the Department of Justice. When will we see justice? I'll tell you what I've not seen. I've not seen any arrests from the revelations in the Epstein Files, over 3 million documents describing horrible things, describing unspeakable things, so much of it redacted. Over 24 people have resigned, CEOs, members of government worldwide, but I haven't seen any arrests or investigations here in the United States from this Department of Justice. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who has since been stripped of his royal titles due to his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, has been arrested. Peter Mandelson, who previously served as UK's ambassador to the United States, resigned in disgrace from United Kingdom's House of Lords and the Labour Party, and he's been arrested. Former Prime Minister of Norway, Torbjorn Jagland, has been charged. But we don't see any charges, arrests, or investigations in the United States. What do we see? We see our FBI director celebrating in the locker room at the Olympics overseas. It's fine to be proud of this country, but we should be proud of this country because we have a system of justice that works, and yet we do not. Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't.
All right, I'm gonna add him to the list. Like I said, he is a very prolific person within those files. A name that we've seen hundreds of times just in, just from reading off random other files.
You even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jess Staley, accused of terrible things.
Jess Staley. Hold on. Let me add him to the list too. Let me add this guy to the list. Jess Staley. American banker and former CEO of Barclays. Well, I'm adding him to the list. Crazy part is so many of these people are just so old that I'm not saying they shouldn't be tried. As a matter of fact, I think they should be ended. But it means that they've been able to commit these crimes for fucking probably over 30 years, 40, 50 years.
It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner, why did the FBI list him as a co-conspirator in their own documents in a child sex trafficking case, and then tell him, according to him, that they had no questions for him? Why is that? Well, the Epstein Files Transparency Act requires the DOJ and the FBI to disclose to us their internal memos and emails about how they made those decisions, whether to prosecute or not prosecute. Yet they have not delivered those memos. And we still don't have the memos and documents and emails from 2008 to explain why Jeffrey Epstein was given such a light sentence in what would have been an open and shut case of child sex trafficking, which allowed him to go back and recommit these terrible crimes.
Yeah, 3 times in a row.
Create hundreds of more victims, and ensnare so many other people in his conspiracy. Where are those documents that describe those decisions? We need justice. We want the Department of Justice to get to work, and that's what they need to do now.
Yes, 100% agree. 100% agree. I think a lot of it has to do with the CIA mostly, but intelligence networks in general.
The chair recognizes.
There has to be a huge pushback on the operational capabilities of these three-letter agencies. In the end, that's like what has to be done for it to truly end. They were given the green light to do whatever they want, and they have no problem in trying to accomplish their goals in the fastest way possible. And the fastest way is to get compromising information on somebody or force them to do something compromising, and it's just a ridiculous network of people, and it's literally all of them. I mean, it is all of them. So I'm not surprised by any of these names. Not surprised by any of these names. What is going on? What is all this bullshit? I'm seeing so much like pro-Semite shit. It's so annoying. Like, what is this gay shit? Go away. All right. Anyways, that was this week's Epstein episode. Hopefully you're still with me. Thank you if you are. Again, we will keep doing this stuff at least once a week. There is a possibility I start locking this stuff behind a very minor paywall because the Epstein videos hurt the channel pretty bad. I've been able to... I started uploading videos to two different channels. And it's very clear that for whatever reason, one channel gets the way more attention than the main channel, even though it's the exact same video. So I don't know what that's about, but it's clear that Epstein stuff is kind of hurting it, and I can't even talk about it as much as I would like because of the people and countries it involves. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. It's something I got to put together over the weekend, but it'll be nice to be able to talk a little more freely with you guys, where I don't need to worry about, oh, I said a no word, or I brought in a country I'm not supposed to talk about, or, such and such. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, hey, it's still great. I got monetized. I think it's fantastic. It's all thanks to you guys. We'll keep doing this. Again, once a week is pretty manageable. I just read 500 files, 3 hours. Even the peak amount of files on one person, I think, is like 2,000 to 4,000, which takes up maybe 8 hours or some shit. It's not too bad. Honest to God, I calculated how much time it would take to get through all the files if the people were all operating at my speed. It would take about 100 people 1 year to get through all the files if they spent every single day going through at least 1,500. Which is really not that bad. I don't know, but for me, it's not that bad. I went through 1,500 in a day. But yeah, 100 people, I mean, that's basically nothing. So, anyways, I'm going to keep going through them. And hopefully you guys will stay on with me as we continue the journey. I don't know who we'll look into next. I really want to look into this Junkerman person. And then there's somebody else I've been waiting to expose. So I think I'll combine those two next week. Not sure. I don't know yet. Tomorrow will be a news day, most likely, unless something crazy happens. And then next week, I should have a returning guest on to talk about the Canada stuff. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. For my YouTubers, I'm going to add a bunch of, stickers and shit that when you subscribe, you can have, and it kind of shows how long you've been subscribed for. I'm still, new to the monetization thing, but I'm looking forward. I like designing the sticker stuff. I'll probably post some in the Discord so you guys can kind of help me pick which looks good and what you like. So if you're on YouTube and you want to have some input, I suggest you, maybe I'll post a poll on YouTube. I don't know. I'll do both. But if you would like more direct access, Discord's the best way. It's a link in the link tree, pretty much in the description, no matter where you're hearing this from. Once we get monetized on Spotify, look to do the same thing. But yeah, Spotify kind of they changed theirs a while ago, and it's just been a mess. So YouTube was about to change theirs, and I just made it right on time. Lucky enough. So cool, fun, awesome. Hope you're having a great week. Tomorrow, you're probably listening to this on Friday. So by then, I've hoped you've had a great week. You're having a great week. Hope you have a great weekend going in. And I will see you guys tomorrow.